Earlier this year, President Biden signed a law enhancing U.S. support for Tibet. The Chinese government protested the measure, saying it grossly interferes in the country's domestic affairs. For a look at what's at stake in the region, we're joined by the president of the Tibetan government in exile, Sikyung Penpa Tsering. Sikyung, it is a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time. You recently met with leaders on Capitol Hill to discuss the new Tibetan Resolve Act. Explain to us, what does that mean exactly for the Tibetan people?
The Chinese government claims its sovereignty on Tibet, and we have been working on the official policy, the middle way policy, where we are trying to seek a non-violent, mutually beneficial, negotiated solution that would be lasting. So this law that was adopted by the U.S. Congress and signed into law by President Biden on July 12th this year talks about four main issues, because China says that there is no Tibet problem, whereas the law says that Tibet is yet an unresolved conflict and it should be resolved under international law.
And, sir, even though the law was adopted by U.S. Congress back in July, negotiations with China are still stalled. Has your administration been able to make any progress toward resuming those talks?
Not really. Of course, we do have some kind of contact, but it's not anything of consequence. Of course, there is a transition here with the new government coming in. Now we have to work with the new government to see how the United States leadership can also share some of the responsibilities that we have been doing and seek support from like-minded countries around the world on this issue, just as the Congress has passed this act.
And there are Tibetans all over the world living in exile. You're there in California, and on a more personal note, your own parents fled Tibet. Your family has been living in exile for more than 5 decades. Do you still have relatives there in Tibet?
We do have, I do have relatives. All the Tibetans have relatives inside Tibet, but it's very difficult to maintain communication with them because China controls all communications, and they make sure that whenever anything happens inside Tibet, everybody knows that the world, the media and the governments look for evidence when something happens. They make sure that there is no evidence of what is happening. So it's very difficult for us to keep in touch with our relatives inside Tibet. Unfortunately, even in 21st century.
Yeah, it's so sad and so unfortunate. What's your message to your family members that are there in Tibet and all other Tibetans that are there now and can't communicate?
We have never lost hope because of His Holiness the Dalai Lama's leadership. Even if we are only about 40,000 Tibetans in exile, because of the visionary leadership of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, we have still kept the issue of Tibet alive, and that shows the Tibetan resilience, and we have never lost hope.
And speaking of the Dalai Lama, many of our viewers will remember the 2008 uprising inside Tibet. So many monks protested and demanded the return of His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama. What are the latest developments in that effort?
No, the Tibetan resistance movement has been going on for a very long time. 2008 is one of those major events where Tibetans from all parts of Tibet, from every walk of life, participated in the peaceful demonstrations. And since 2009 till 2022, 157 Tibetans have self-immolated, burned themselves to death, or scarred for life, hoping against hope that the Chinese government will pay some attention to their plight or the international community will come to their rescue. Unfortunately, it has not. So we still have to keep informing the world about what's happening inside Tibet. As we speak today, there are a lot of things happening politically, militarily, economically. So a lot of things are happening, and we are hopeful that there will be positive changes in China in the near future.
His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama, keeping a lot of that hope alive. But he's turning 90 next year. And recently, the People's Republic of China announced that they will select the next Dalai Lama. What's your reaction to that?
So reincarnation is very unique to Tibetan Buddhism, and Lamas reincarnate to carry forward the responsibilities, unfulfilled responsibilities they left behind in their previous life. And it is the Lama who is going to be reborn. Chinese government, who does not believe in any kind of religion, wants to be responsible for recognition of reincarnate Lamas, and they are not bothered about the living 14th Dalai Lama, but they are more concerned about controlling the yet-to-come 15th Dalai Lama.
We certainly hope there is some sort of resolve soon. Sikyong Penpa Tsering, thank you so much for speaking with us, for your insights, and for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.